Africa. That would never have happened were it not supported and facilitated by the interventions of the ATI. The ATI has also a unique investment catalytic role. The benefit to Africa of ATI is not only in the investment that ATI itself underwrites, but additionally, ATI catalyzes additional investments into the continent. Although ATI underwrote a little over 592 million of exposure, the total value of the project that ATI insured, either partially or completely, is estimated to exceed US $4 billion. $4 billion. I think this is a significant achievement that we can all celebrate. ATI attracts and crowds in additional insurers who undertake risk in Africa, safe in the knowledge that Africa's premier political risk insurer, ATI, is underwriting the same risk. It crowds in others by giving comfort in the knowledge that Africa's premier insurance institution is also investing in the same areas. The fact that ATI is able to attract insurers and reinsurers to underwrite risk in Africa demonstrates the confidence that the insurance community has not only on Africa but its institution, the ATI. This also is a tribute to ATI's management, its strong capital base, and the depth of support of its shareholders that are here today. It is no coincidence that ATI is rated as A by Standard & Poor's, making it the highest rated insurance institution in Africa besides the African Development Bank itself. But another area where ATI is leaving its footprint is in the area of infrastructure. The relevance of ATI is also likely to increase in the coming years in the area of infrastructure. Africa is seeking to finance ambitious and transformational infrastructure projects to meet the increasing demand for energy of a booming private sector and the need for transport infrastructure of a quality that will put the continent on equal footing with other regions. The Infrastructure Consortium for Africa, which is hosted at the African Development Bank, puts the total financing requirement for infrastructure projects in Africa at US $93 billion. That is the financing gap, $93 billion, Africa's infrastructure financing gap. From this figure, it's clear that the huge cost associated with this project cannot be solely met by Africa, and that new and innovative forms of financing from Europe and other partners must be sought to finance this project under PPPs and IPP structures. Many of these new investors will be unfamiliar with Africa and are likely to take a conservative view of the risk inherent in many African countries. And they will be unaware of the great strides that many African countries have made towards sound economic management and good economic and political governance. However, at the same time, African governments are reconsidering and ending the usage of sovereign guarantees for project finance, particularly in infrastructure. These guarantees, which used to provide comfort to project financiers, but they added to the contingent liability of governments' balance sheets. Hence, governments have now increasingly withdrawn sovereign guarantee for the financing of infrastructure. It is in this area that this institution, ATI, and its product and knowledges will be key to unlocking the international capital flows that it will take this continent to the next level in terms of infrastructure development. Chairman, I think it's now widely accepted that the private sector will have to drive the economic growth in Africa. And it is the private sector that will increasingly finance the development process. There is a clear role for ATI in aiding private sector growth in Africa. ATI catalyzes investments in and exports from Africa by providing them risk mitigation products. In conclusion, let me say that these are but a few of the many reasons why the African Development Bank strongly and unequivocally supports the work of ATI. Looking ahead to the coming years, I think it is very clear that the case is strong and compelling for an African institution, and the time is now. And this is why the African Development Bank is proud to indicate that, subject to board approval, we will soon be the new institutional members of the African Trade Institute, ATI. And in this new capacity, in addition to the financial resource injection, the African Development Bank will continue to collaborate with ATI to grow the institution's capital base, as well as collaborate in the effort to bring additional member states to join this institution. I thank you for your attention.
Your Excellency Dr. Riek Machar, Vice President of the Republic of South Sudan, and your delegation that includes some colleague ministers, honorable ministers from different member countries present, deputy ministers, members of the board of directors of ATI, the World Bank representative, the African Development Bank representative, ladies and gentlemen. The African Trade Insurance Agency, ATI, as the name connotes, exists for African countries. It is one of the tools that we have created over a decade ago to help us increase inflows of foreign direct investments and to improve our trade with the rest of the world. It's important to emphasize that while trading with the rest of the world remains an important objective, we have, as a continent, awakened to the opportunities that exist within ourselves that amounts to trillions of dollars of potential business. Regional integration initiatives are an important aspect of helping our countries to take advantage of some of these opportunities. An example of the potential opportunity that exists within our region is the soon-to-be implemented tripartite free trade agreement between the Common Market for East Africa, COMESA, the East African Community, EAC, and the South African Development Community, SADC. This free trade area is set to become the largest in Africa, covering 26 countries with a combined GDP of $875 billion and a combined population of over 700 million. The region is already reaping benefits from the preliminary initiatives undertaken by these three blocks. As a result, exports have increased from $7 billion in the year 2000 to $32 billion in the year 2011, while imports have grown from $9 billion in the year 2000 to $35 billion over the same period. The current European debt crisis, along with instability in other regions, looms as a potential threat to our economies. While our countries admirably weathered the storms created by the 2007-2008 global financial crisis, it's important for us to prepare for any future storms of the same nature. Given the interconnectedness of the current global economy, we realize that every destabilizing economic event anywhere affects the rest of the world economies in one way or another. The example of this is the Asian crisis that we all know and what is going on in Europe currently. This is why we in Africa must come together as a region to ensure that we significantly reduce trade barriers between our countries. Currently, intra-regional trade within Africa stands at just a paltry close to 10% compared to Latin America, which stands at 25%, and Asia, which stands at 50%. ATI has the potential to fill this space and provide a much-needed service to our domestic companies and investors. I should emphasize that we have to exploit ATI's resources and opportunities effectively if we have to grow in Africa. ATI's 2011 results reflect that there is growing domestic demand from African investors, lenders, and business entities who are involved in financing infrastructure projects, rehabilitating roads, improving the supply of energy and water to rural and urban populations, and helping to increase access to telecommunication services. These are just but a few of the areas that ATI is supporting and is capable of supporting. With the risk of shrinkage of our exports to Europe and the Middle East in the face of the recent political events there, the onus will be on us to take concrete steps to venture into high value-added exports. ATI will be on hand to provide the mechanism through which African countries and the private sector can achieve this objective. I therefore urge African countries that have expressed interest in joining ATI to hasten their internal process so they can benefit from the services offered by ATI. I take this juncture to not only welcome but also congratulate the newest republic on the globe, the Republic of Southern Sudan, for showing interest and turning up in a large way, and we shall later today admit the Republic of South Sudan to the ATI. We also know that it's a critical new frontier for business in this region. Expanded membership will also help to speed up our economic integration and increase the region's ability to compete effectively in the global marketplace. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude my remarks with a challenge to colleagues, African ministers here present. The time for Africa is now. This is the call that has been coming from every international investment community and meetings that we go to. As African countries, we must own this phrase, and we should collectively make time for Africa now become a reality for our continent to reap the rewards that the world has recognized and realized within our countries. We are told repeatedly that Africa is the new investment frontier. Indeed, it is true. Yet we are also told that it's a risk area to invest. ATI, therefore, provides the necessary solution to this. With those few remarks, I want to now take this opportunity to invite His Excellency, Dr. Riek Machar. For those who live in this country, is no stranger to us. During the difficult times, Kenya was one of his many preferred homes, and he is back home. Your Excellency, you are most welcome. Thank you.
We have come to you today despite that it is a very important day to us in South Sudan. It is the 29th anniversary of the SPLA-SPLM that brought the birth of the new republic. And this is because we attach importance to this occasion. I am also happy to address this 12th annual conference of the African Trade Insurance Agency. For this, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting the government of the Republic of South Sudan. I also would like to thank the African Trade Insurance Agency leadership for coming to Juba to explain to us the services and the benefits this agency can offer to the Republic of South Sudan. It was their visit that made us take a step to register our membership to this organization. If this conference had been held 1 year ago, my colleagues and I would not be standing here today. As many of you know, South Sudan is the newest country in Africa and probably in the world. This status brings tremendous pride to us as a country, but it also presents some unique challenges. We have come through a difficult period of civil war, which has destroyed our infrastructure. The building is therefore a priority. Our reconstruction strategy focuses on rebuilding our road networks, housing, schools, and other amenities. Also within the service sector, systems need to be put in place for banking, insurance, and other financial services to be fully operational. These are among the priorities areas that we intend to focus on in the coming months. While there are challenges, it is also important to point out